While you're rocking with us at Toxic Radio, don't forget to check us out on social media.
I want details, and I want them right now.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Now you're talking, brother.
Chat with us, keep up on news. Just don't make it weird. Don't be a stalker. Don't be that guy.
You just want to suck the joy out of everything.
Toxic Radio. Get infected. Hey guys, dating life gone pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy, I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies. Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything. You gotta go back to football school.
The goal on this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
Welcome to Wire Sports Podcast, Show 70. I'm your host, fresh, little red, fresh off my Bahamas vacation. I'm back for you, the NFL genius, and I have some NFL plays for you, but we'll get into that. Show 70. To my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend. He's got it on the back of his hoodie. Uncle Showie.
It's Super Bowl week, baby.
I'm ready, bro.
Let's go.
I'm fucking hype. I couldn't go 30 seconds without an F-bomb. I got to stop that. To my left, not to my left, virtual, coming from us from Cleveland, Columbus, someplace in Ohio. We don't know.
That godforsaken place.
That godforsaken place. We got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cuttrell.
OH.
OHIO.
Ooh.
I like that, Gene.
I got you.
Get it. I like it.
Mark that.
I like that.
Gonna need that later.
All right, so we got a lot to get into. We got UFC, we got the NBA trade deadline, and we have the Super Bowl. Anybody listening, we are live on our own YouTube channel, finally. Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. If you can't find us on Talks Radio, we are on Wire to Wire Sports Podcast on YouTube. Share us, like us, download us, give us a listen. We got an action-packed show to get into. I'm going to start with the fighting. We're going to get the UFC. Let's open it up. Obviously, you got Izzy versus Robert Whitaker. That's your main event. You got Derek Lewis versus Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
And we the third fight's something to talk about. It's like a number one contender fight. You got Jared Cannonier versus Derek Action Brunson. I have very strong feelings on this fight. I think it's a lead pipe lock.
Uh-oh.
I feel strongly about this fight.
What is your record on lead pipe locks?
4-1.
Oh, you lost 2.
No, 1.
Oh.
Just 1. So before I give my take, let me hear your take, just so you guys don't steal my pick. I don't want you doing that. I know you guys like to ride the coattails of the picks. I'm kidding, obviously. Cottrell, start us off. Who do you like? How do you like it? Cannonier, Brunson. Let's hear it.
I'm going to go Derek Brunson with this one. I just think, technically, I think he's just the more sound fighter. Derek Brunson was a guy he's had a lot of experience with just facing these better fighters in general. Not saying Cannonier hasn't. I think Cannonier can be the up and comer here, but I do think that Derek Brunson's gonna take the win in this one. I'd probably go unanimous decision. I don't see him knocking him out or submission, anything like that. But I'll go Derek Brunson by decision.
Okay, Derek Brunson by decision. Shally, what's your thoughts?
Looks like I'm going head to head with Cottrell right off the bat here. I'm gonna go with Jared Cannonier. I couldn't give you one specific reason. I just think he wins the fight. I actually think this might end up being the best fight on the main card, to be honest. But I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit. But I don't know. I think he's maybe the more in the up and coming fighter. I think he just finds a way to get it done. I think he wins by decision, probably 29-28.
Okay. So all right. So me and Bill completely disagree on this fight. Like completely. He said it might be the fight of the night. I think it might be the most boring fight of the night. I think Derek. So the line's wrong, guys. The line is wrong. Derek Lewis should not be plus 135. It's incorrect.
Who?
Okay. Or sorry, Derek Brunson should not be plus 135. It's incorrect. Just understand that right now. Derek Brunson's going to win this fight, and the way he's going to win this fight is he's going to use his wrestling. He's going to take him down. He's going to lay on him, and it's going to be super boring. It could be a 30-27 decision. Could be a 29-28 decision. I don't know if Cannonier steals around. The only thing you got to worry about is Derek Brunson getting knocked out. And in reality, the only people that have knocked Derek Brunson out of his career are elite middleweights in his division. I just don't see it. I don't. I think Brunson's going to take him down and lay on him and wrestle him. And, it'll either be a Brunson submission or a TKO or a Brunson by decision. I'm going to go with Derek Brunson by decision. I'll go lopsided. 30-27, Derek Brunson.
Talk about riding coattails.
Bro, listen, I had mine written down, brother. I had that before we walked into the show. Derek Brunson, I love him plus 135. I think that's the wrong line. I think it's completely wrong line. Get your money in on it now before people get smart and start betting it.
I'm with you.
All right, so probably the funnest fight of the night. It's not going to be a great fight.
No.
Won't be a good fight, but it'll be fun.
It'll be fun and entertaining. It's not going to be
You're going to see a technical.
No.
No technical.
There'll be none of that.
All right. We got Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, versus Bam Bam. Tua. I'm not saying the last name.
I think it's Tuivasa.
Tai Tuivasa.
Tai Tuivasa.
It's like
whatever.
Mufasa, but better.
I call him Bam Bam. He's Bam Bam to me. I have notes on this fight. I'll go first. And I wrote, I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this fight. I really don't, actually. I'm not even trying to be smart when I say this. There's just two massive heavyweights that can knock you out anytime they want to, fighting against each other. I don't know if they're going to fight this fight like a little scared, weary of the knockout. I don't know if they're going to bang. It could be a 1-round knockout fight, or it could be a 3-round. I'm going to stay away from you for 2.5 rounds, and maybe someone catches somebody. Both these fighters are normally very entertaining fighters. They've obviously have cardio issues in the past. I don't know if this fight's going to be fun to watch after the first round and a half, but I don't know. For the fun of it, I'll go Derek Lewis, first round knockout.
You go, Cottrell.
So I'm going with Derek Lewis as well. I think this is going to be a second round knockout from him. I think these are two fighters who love to give the people a show. You have the Black Beast, who is just literally an animal when he's in there. He just can't get over the hump. He can't get that title shot or that win in the big fight to either get him to the title shot or just beat the champion in general. We kind of saw that in his last fight against Cyril Gane. But this fight, I think they threw Bam Bam to the wolves a little too soon. And I actually like seeing Bam Bam. I completely understand why it's happening. The fights in Houston and Bam Bam sells, and that's Derek Lewis's hometown. So I 100% understand the reasoning behind it. But I think it's a little too quick for Bam Bam to be facing guys like Derek Lewis. So I got Derek Lewis second round knockout in this one.
Over under for the rounds is 1.5. Under's favored -190. So slight favorite. They don't think he gets out of the first. I'm going with Tuivasa. I think he lays the magic punch. Last time they were in Houston, Derek Lewis came out real tight, fighting in front of all his friends and his family against Cyril Gahn. I think he's probably going to do the same thing again. Cantrell kind of hit it on the head for me. He can't seem to get over the hump. He can't get over that hump from being good to a legit contender. I don't know if Tuivasa is really ready for this fight or not. I think he's going to go in and bang, though. And I think for somebody that's going to might possibly come out tight and be tentative, that to me is a huge advantage for Tuivasa if he's just going to come out and throw caution to the wind. If Derek Lewis, who does start slow sometimes, comes out, tries to pace himself a little bit, I think that's a huge advantage for Tuivasa. The only thing that I'm disappointed would be, he said if he wins, he's not doing a shoey this week. He's going to do it. He's going to do a cuppy, which is what he's dubbed it. So there'll be no shoe. There'll be no beers out of shoes if he wins. But I think that's the most fun fight of the night by far. I think somebody's definitely getting knocked out. I don't think there's any chance we're getting a 3-round dead tired, lean on each other.
I hope not.
Slop
I could
fest.
see that though.
I think they both hit too hard, and I think they're both decent.
Well,
they're
that's
both
the
decent.
point.
They're both decent enough strikers.
You know, that tentativeness where, like, I don't want to get hit. Do you want to get hit? I'm not going to make the mistake.
That,
Are you going to make
Francis
the mistake?
Ngannou, Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
I don't think we're there with these two, but I think two of us.
I don't think Bam Bam has that mindset.
I don't either, because I think if Bam Bam goes in and loses, he's still fine.
Michael Robert Lafferty said something. I don't know if it's accurate, but if it is, it's hilarious. He said Bam Bam accepted this fight absolutely piss drunk. He didn't realize it until the next morning.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. That's kind of funny, though.
Sounds funny as hell.
That'll just add to the to the urban legend of Tuivasa. So I'm going Tuivasa first round KO,
and I would be fine with either way.
So I'm a huge Derek Lewis fan. If you don't follow him on Instagram, he has one of the best Instagram accounts going.
I think they're both awesome, great for the sport, and I love watching both of them fight.
Agreed.
Watching them fight each other is going to be kind of weird, but whatever. It'll be entertaining at least. Now, the main event is Israel Adesanya, Stylebender, versus Robert Whitaker, 2. And the first fight, Izzy beat the shit out of him.
Picked him apart.
I mean, just smacked him around like the entire fight.
It was clinical.
4-1, 5-0, however you want to look at it, but it was a bad fight.
Oh, that fight didn't go the distance, did it?
I thought it did.
It didn't. It was a knockout.
Second
round.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, which fight am I thinking of?
I don't know.
He beat somebody for the title when 5-0.
It wasn't Whitaker. He knocked Whitaker out.
Oh, well, I feel like I saw that.
For the title.
It's okay.
He beat Whitaker for the title.
Didn't he beat somebody 5-0?
He did.
Kelvin Gastelum for the interim title.
That's exactly that's where I got it mixed up. But regardless,
that's fine.
Izzy beat him up the first time. I don't, and I've been on record. I'm not a huge Robert Whitaker guy. I haven't been on Robert Whitaker before. I've never been on Robert Whitaker. I think this fight's going to be a little different than the first one, though. I think Whitaker gives him all he wants. And I think it'll be a lot closer fight. I don't think Izzy dominates this fight like he did last one. I think that Whitaker's been hungry to get back in that ring to try to get his belt back. I don't think he'll win, but I think it'll be a very, very good fight. I'll go Adesanya by unanimous decision.
I pretty much along the same lines as you. I'm a little bit higher on Whitaker. I know we've talked about him before with other fights. I'm a little higher on Whitaker than Gene. I even think Cantrell is. I think he learned a lot from that first fight. He's looked a lot better since he got destroyed the first time. I don't think he still has enough to beat Izzy. I think Izzy's reach and just the way he fights just plays right into Izzy's hands. Whitaker likes to be the aggressor. He's not a guy that can really stand in the pocket. And I think Izzy's game plan, I think, is going to be very similar to it was the first time they fought. I think he's going to land shots. He's going to get in. He's going to get out. I don't think Whitaker will chase him as much as he did the first fight because that's really where he got in trouble. I think Whitaker is going to probably look to use his wrestling a little bit more. I think it's a way more competitive fight. And I will take Adesanya by decision as well. I think it goes all 5 rounds though. I think Izzy has to work for this one.
So Izzy's biggest fan will be on next. Cantrell, your thoughts?
Izzy, my boy Izzy.
Stylebender.
I do agree with some parts of what you said, Bill. I do think Whitaker is going to focus a lot more on his wrestling. I mean, he's come out and even said it. He said that Jan Blachowicz laid the blueprint to beat Israel Adesanya, and that was taking him down with wrestling. The one thing that's a little bit different is that Jan was 20 pounds heavier than what Izzy was. Izzy came into that fight probably by the time he got into the octagon, he was about 190, maybe 195. Jan was pushing 220, maybe 225 in that fight. So it's a lot different when you have that much more mass than a guy like Adesanya, and that won't be the case with Whitaker in this one. So I do think he's going to try and lean on his wrestling there, but I don't think he's going to have as much success just because size-wise, he's just not as big as what Jan is. With that being said, I do think Whitaker is going to make sure that this fight stays a fight. And I got it going. I'll probably go third round TKO Izzy. I think he's just going to land that one strike, and then he's just going to get on top of him. Ref's going to have to stop it. Robert Whitaker's tough guy. He's not going to just get knocked out and just take it. But I think that he's going to fight as much as he can. Izzy's going to land the strike, get on top of him, and just put him in a position that the ref's going to have to make the call. So Izzy third round TKO.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. I think, but with that being said, I really, really, truly believe that Whitaker's going to have a much better fight than he did last time. I actually think that he'll have Adesanya on the ropes at least once in the fight, like to the point where we're like, oh shit, is Whitaker going to win this fight? But I think ultimately Adesanya is the better fighter, and that will prevail. And Dylan on the wire line, don't sleep on Rob's wrestling. Was a wrestler before MMA, national champ, etc. I don't think I'm sleeping on that at all. I don't. I just think that Stylebender's a really tough guy to get down and then hold him down. And Cottrell made a perfect point about the weight difference between him and Jan. I think that's a very obvious, evident difference. So with that being said, I'm going to stick with my Izzy RJ with Whitaker. Whitaker wins this fight, I think. Okay.
I will tell you this, man. Reading a lot of all those predictions and everything came out today, there is way more people backing Whitaker than I thought there would be, especially with as dominant as Izzy has been at 185. The amount of people that are within the sport that are just picking Whitaker.
Well, Whitaker's a preparation junkie.
I agree, but I think based off, again, there's always the cliche, styles make fights. Based off how they fought the first time and just how Izzy fights in general, it's a nightmare matchup for Whitaker for the way he fights. And the amount of people that are trainers, analysts or whatever that are legit picking him to win outright was surprising to me. The majority was still Izzy, but I thought the gap would be way further away than
they say. Styles make fights. I say Styles bend fights, and the style bender ends up pulling away in this one.
The one thing that I just wanted to kind of add on to that though is that we see with Izzy, like not his last fight, he just beat Vittori, but before that, when he went up against Jan and he lost, it was kind of like maybe Izzy is human. So I think that's kind of more so what plays into it, because had he went up to light heavyweight and won that fight and, went back down, beat Vittori, we're sitting here thinking, yeah, Izzy's it's a lot easier. But because he has that loss under his belt now, I think people are starting to realize that he is human, and especially the way it happened. Whitaker has his background in wrestling. He's taken away from what he lost in the first fight, and Whitaker is no joke. I mean, before Izzy came along, Whitaker was the class of the middleweight division. So I absolutely think Whitaker has a shot here, but I'm going with Izzy.
So I get all that, and I follow everything that you said. I just think that, and I'm with you on Izzy. I just think that Robert Whitaker is just an overtrainer, and I think that he's been locked himself in a cage, like watching film and training for this fight. Like, I really believe that. I believe that he's an overtrainer. I'm not a fan of him. I think he's a boring fighter, but I think he's a perfectionist, which I respect. So with that being said, that's Pena did beat Nunez, so anything is possible. I agree. MRL. It's like TRL. It's like Michael Robert Laffrey's MRL.
That rematch.
Speaking of hurt,
that rematch is going to be a massacre.
Yeah, did you see they got signed for Ultimate Fighter?
It's going to be a massacre.
I know.
Did you see Amanda's excuse?
No, I don't want to hear it. Tell me, say it out loud.
She said she had an injury going into that fight, but she
Fuck
she
outta
kept
here.
the fight on. She kept the fight on because
Does
she
say what the
didn't think
injury
it was going to
was?
be as much of a problem. I want to say it was like something. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember exactly what she said. She did say what it was, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't care.
Yeah,
You walked into the ring,
Me
you went in
neither.
there and threw bombs, and you didn't. You got gassed out and you got tired. I don't want to hear it. Let's move on to another disaster: the NBA trade deadline and Ben Simmons. It is now like what, 14, 15 hours away.
It's 3:00 Eastern, so
12 hours, be 9, so add 6, 18 hours
18
away.
18 hours away. 18 and change.
Math whiz over there.
We'll get into.
I'm good with numbers.
We'll get into the trade deadline and we'll get into Ben Simmons. But what I want to do first is I want to run through a couple other moves that were made, and because I feel like the crux of this conversation will be geared around Ben Simmons. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. So, couple things I wanted to bring up. Are the Blazers having a fire sale, or are they trying to rebuild around Dame Lillard?
I think it's both. I think they're trying to do like a 1-year rebuild type thing. They're getting all kinds of draft picks, freeing up cap space. I think they even got a trade or a cap exception in one of the trades. They're gonna for what that roster started as this year, they're gonna burn it down, and they're just gonna be super aggressive in free agency in the offseason and hope they can build a contender in 1 year. I don't think that's gonna happen. I would say trading CJ and whatever their game plan is, I don't think that happened without Dame signing off on that. But that being said, I could see a very likely scenario where Dame doesn't play in Portland next year.
I could too. I think that Travis said trading cap space, or sorry, PD said clearing cap space to recruit stars. That fails. Dame's finally out of there. I understand that. I just think that you don't give away your players for a bag of rocks. I feel like they lost both their trades that they made, all three of them. I get you get the expiring contract of from Utah, but the trade that they made with the Clippers, they got backup point guard. God, I'm so bad with names. Is it Eric Bledsoe?
They got Bledsoe. They got Hart from New Orleans, which I think his contract expires as well after this year. That was them waving the white flag. Like, we're done with this year. Like, tank it, get another draft pick.
But I feel like you can get more. Like, you didn't wait to the deadline. You didn't try to like really flex to see what leverage you got. The trade they got for CJ McCollum, who by the way 7 straight years averaged over 20 points a game, is laughable.
The other issue though is that CJ just had that whole issue earlier this year, and I know he's back playing now, but who knows what the market really was for CJ at this point. I mean, I 100% I'm with you that he does, average the points. CJ is the bucket, but at the same time, like, I feel like Portland was in a hurry to make this move happen because it was almost the inevitable. Like, we knew that Portland couldn't win a championship with Dame and CJ as their catalyst. It just wasn't in their cards. As much as they tried, it just wasn't the case for them. So I 100% understand the move. I do think they could have got more. I think the Pelicans fleeced them, but I understand their sense of urgency in trying to make this deal happen. Because if you hold off, wait till the offseason, what if in the offseason there's even more uncertainty with CJ? What if he doesn't finish out this season and you can't even get a first for him? I feel like there was a lot of factors into it.
I just look at it, man. They made the deal yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even there yet. I find it very hard to believe nobody in this league is going to offer something better than Josh Hart to get a player like CJ McCollum to add to their.
I completely agree.
Like,
and the other trade that had me scratching my head was Norman Powell and Rocco got traded for Eric Bledsoe.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing right now?
That was strictly a money
They're
dump.
both.
But
First of all, they don't make that much money. Second of all,
when you're trying to free up every penny you can to sign.
No, I get it. But second of all, both those guys are exactly what championship contending teams need.
Yeah, those are the type of people you want to add at the deadline. Correct. I agree 100% with that. I don't think it matters for the Clippers because I think.
We got Jimmy Butler for basically the same package.
Yeah, true.
Like, if you really want to be honest about it.
I think a lot. I think there's a lot of. I think everything factored in what's going on in Portland. I think led to that crap deal. They fired their GM earlier this year with the misconduct allegations. They're kind of running it like kind of by committee right now. I don't know, man. I mean, I just CJ McCollum's way too good of a player to get away for Josh Hart, and
I like Josh Hart. I'm a Nova guy.
It's nothing against Josh Hart. He's just not CJ McCollum.
I agree.
Like, and I don't know what New Orleans is doing. I mean, I'm assuming that's an indication that Zion's close, and they think they're going to make a run at the bottom end of this playoffs. But I mean, I don't. Whatever.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You do that deal for CJ McCollum.
No, I agree with that.
Kachal, any thoughts on Portland? We got a couple more trades to get into. Any more thoughts on Portland?
No, I mean, I'm ready to see what they do. It's interesting to hear the rumors about them being interested in Jeremy Grant. So it kind of makes me feel like they trade for Jeremy Grant this year. Obviously, you would hope, well, for their sake, that he would have interest being there long term. But if you get a guy like Jeremy Grant, I mean, it kind of puts you in a odd spot because you still kind of compete this year. You're not competing for a championship, but you're going to be a team, somewhere between 7 and 10. You might even, you might make the play-in game by accident, getting a guy like Jeremy Grant to team up with Dame. But the other thing with that is we don't know when Dame's coming back. So Dame put out a statement today that said,
you don't trade him, you shut him down. You already blew it up. Shut him down, get him healthy.
Dame came out.
There's no reason for him to play.
He came out and said that he wants to be a part of the future in Portland. So I don't.
No, I know, but
I don't know if you
the rest
can
of this year.
Trade him.
He played the whole summer. He played the whole summer with the Olympic team, and obviously it wore on him because he's not been the same. He needs the time off. You shut him down the rest of the year. You get him 100% healthy for next year, and if you're trying to rebuild around him, you throw one more last gas on the fire to see if you can do something. I don't think they will. I think Portland's not really an attractive place to go, but that's just my opinion.
That is the problem with Portland. It's not. I mean, it's not a bad city per se. I mean, but there's nothing else there. I mean, like they have them and they have the Timbers, which is an MLS team. I mean, there's no football, there's no hockey. Like it's not a huge sports market. It's a lot of guys that like the nightlife and all that stuff. It's not an attractive place to go play. I think Portland's going to have to come to the realization very quickly that they're going to be able to get max value for Dame this offseason, and that's the move they're going to have to make. His value is not going to get any higher, assuming he's healthy at the end of the year. I give him credit for staying there and staying as long as he did to try to win. But he's just one of those dudes that it's just not going to happen. You gotta completely burn it down and start over.
Agreed. Let's get into the Lakers. I need to talk about that train wreck. Well, honestly, my question for you would be, who is a bigger train wreck right now, the Lakers or the Brooklyn Nets? The Nets lost 10 straight, right? James Harden's just not playing. Which, by the way, I'll get into that James Harden thing in a minute. How paper soft I think that guy is, but they're just quitting. Everyone's hurt. Everyone's missing. James Harden's like, oh well, Kyrie's not really playing. KD's hurt. My hamstrings bother me. I'm not going to play. And they've been terrible. But the Lakers, man, they have Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, AD all played last night versus Milwaukee, and they got the shit kicked out of them.
This is easy. It's the Lakers.
Okay.
Mainly for the reasons you just said. They haven't had Durant for however long now. Kyrie can only play.
But I think they're more of a train wreck. I think the Lakers are like an aging team, but I still think they can put something together. I think the one thing the Lakers did that I think is really important is they started benching Russell Westbrook. He's not even playing for them down the stretch.
Yeah, and they're still losing though. Like they have no go-to option. They have no other. They don't have Plan B. Like that's who LeBron wanted. That's who they went out and got.
You watched that game last night?
Yeah. And the other thing is, one more person ever tries to argue with me that AD is a top 5 player in this league. I'm going to go nuts.
Destroyed.
He got absolutely manhandled by Giannis last night. Enough with it. Enough. He's not a top 5 player in this league. He got elevated because he played next to LeBron. Stop. Just stop. He's just not.
Okay.
Let's just move on. That's a conversation for another show. I mean, if Brooklyn's healthy, which team would you rather have? Because for me,
first of all,
it's Brooklyn.
Like not the question.
I get it.
I think Brooklyn's more of a train wreck, though.
But it's a train wreck for
Harden doesn't want to be there. He's already made it known he's leaving at the end of the year if he doesn't get traded. Kyrie Irving can't play because he's got vaccine issues. Kevin Durant's hurt, and Kevin Durant can opt out the end of this year.
I don't think he's going to, but I agree. Listen, I think we said this last year when this all came together. They had a very, very small window to make this work, and it's not going to work. It's not. They're not going to get there. I mean, I know we're going to talk about Harden a lot in a couple minutes, so I'm not going to get into him too much. I mean, it's tough. I mean, Durant's hurt. Durant's hurt. Kyrie won't get a vaccination. He thinks the world's flat. There's a lot of outside of basketball influences why that's a train wreck. I think the Lakers is a train wreck because I think from the get-go you knew it wasn't going to work. They were all adamant that it was going to work. They went out and got the guy. LeBron won it. He's been awful.
I've been on record all year saying that I thought Russell Westbrook was a terrible addition to that team. I said it at the beginning of the season. I said it now. And now it's proving to be absolutely accurate. He looks terrible. I just want to know when the Monstars are coming back to bring his talent back.
He just can't
shoot.
Looks
terrible.
He just can't shoot anymore.
Did you see? There was a play last night. Cottrell. Did you watch the game last night, Cottrell?
Are you talking about the one with I never
bits and pieces?
Cottrell, Russell Westbrook had the ball about 12 feet away from the basket. Giannis is he turned his back. He goes, he's with us. I'm not worried about him.
Yep.
And let him shoot, and he bricked it. It's so bad how bad he is. I actually really, I didn't believe in Space Jam shit. I didn't believe in the Monstars touching the basketball and stealing this guy's talent. But Russell Westbrook lost his talent. He stinks. I'm not kidding when I tell you, I would take Tyrese Maxey over Russell Westbrook for one game, one season, one whatever. Right now, he's a better player.
I don't think that's even much of a discussion right now.
Better player right now.
I do think some of it with Russell is also. I do think some of it's mental. I think
Jalen Rose said something that's actually. I want to touch on that because I'm waiting for it. Jalen Rose said something today on the jump, and he said, or it was Kendrick Perkins actually. Kendrick Perkins said this is the first time Russell Westbrook has to play smart basketball.
That's true as well.
He's only had to play hoops. Correct. He's only hooped his whole career. With OKC, he hooped. With Harden and Houston, they hooped. With Washington, they hooped. He's got to play smart basketball, play with LeBron, and he can't do it.
I think the other part of it, though, is that this is a team that doesn't have too much of a rhythm yet. I do think the Lakers have a whole bunch of problems, but they haven't. This isn't a team that's played together. Russ has been horrible. There's no doubt about that. Anthony Davis isn't, the top 5 player that he was or that he played 2 years ago. But this is a team as a whole that hasn't played too much together, and they're old. You hit on that, Gene. I would say more of the train wreck is on the Nets just because of they have you hit it on the head, Gene. Kevin Durant's hurt right now. Kyrie's out, and he can only play in away games. And James Harden just doesn't want to be there. So with the Lakers, at least they have guys who want to be there. They just can't put it together to win games.
Yeah, but they want
Russell
to get
Westbrook. Yeah, they want to get rid of Russ, but it's not happening.
Rid of him.
It's not happening. So
there was a moment where he was talking to them on the bench last night, Cottrell. He was trying to talk to LeBron and AD, and they weren't even looking at him. They were just like, I just don't stop. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, Lakers are in trouble. Don't get it twisted. They are not in championship contention at all right now. But at least they have three players who are on the court. That's the start of it. You got to have 3 players on the court. If you only got 1 star on the court, I would say you're more of a train wreck than the team with 3 stars. Well, and 2 and a third stars on the court. So for me, it's the Nets. I think it can be the Lakers when it's all said and done, being more of a train wreck once the Nets players actually get back on the court and start playing basketball. But right now, I'm going with the team that's lost 9 straight games.
It's going to be really messed up with all the decisions that were made for LeBron, and he walks away from that team after this year. After he's run that franchise into the ground.
But instead of everywhere he's been.
He won a championship there. I don't want to say you running into the ground.
He does after he leaves those organizations. I'm telling you right now, bet you
they win championships.
I'll bet you if we look at it, after LeBron leaves the team, I'll bet you the win totals between all 4 teams. Well, the Cavs the first time, Miami, the Cavs the second time, and then the Lakers afterwards. I'll bet you the win totals won't equal what one team will win this year. Like if you add all 4 years up.
Shambles.
Borderline just shows you how special he is too.
Listen, nobody's arguing he's not a special player. Bron's special. He's a baby though.
No, I mean I think everyone knows that.
All right. Couple more, just quick. Memphis Grizzlies do anything?
I think they really like their team, dude. I mean, I think if they do,
Agree with you.
I think if they do, I think it's kind of like what we talked about before. I think it's a complimentary, like the 7th or 8th guy off the team, maybe a shooter, maybe just somebody else that could play solid 20 minutes every night to strengthen the rotation. They're young, they're quick, they are playing with a ton of confidence. I think they love their team.
I completely control any See, the problem
I think they try and get a piece like Dante DiVincenzo or Marvin Bagley, just a complimentary piece.
Yeah, agreed.
3-and-D kind of player.
Dante
or
DiVincenzo's not going anywhere.
No, Milwaukee loves him. He's not going anywhere.
Well, that's not what reports say.
That's crazy.
These teams have been calling.
Now Bagley makes sense.
They've been listening.
Bagley makes sense. But like you don't want to trade anybody in that like situation. Like you got John Morant, you got Desmond Bane, Steven Adams is playing his role very well. Jaren Jackson might have been Defensive Player of the Year.
All the key players from that team are not going anywhere.
That's my point. That team
I think they're
played really good basketball, and they've grown together. They've got that's like the same core. It's like the core 4.
Yeah, I mean it's that there is none of those key contributors are going anywhere. Dylan Brooks is another one. None of those guys are going anywhere. They are. I think they're gonna see what that roster can do in the playoffs. They're gonna go in as probably no lower than like the 4 seed. So
I think it'll be the 3.
Yeah, I think it'll be 3 too. But I'm gonna say they're no lower than 4. I think they're
John Morant is taking that step, man.
Because they finally
superstardom.
Because they finally let him play.
Yeah.
We talked about it last year. I didn't understand it. Like
they had him caged.
They did.
Like caged.
They did. And now they finally let him play. He's using all his gifts, but still being a leader and still being a good point guard, still distributing the ball, and they're trashing people. Like I promise you, nobody wants to see them in the second round.
I get it. Last thing we got to talk about before we get to Sixers. The Kings.
Oh, you missed 2.
Yeah, I was like, because the one
I was going to say
the one you missed, I think is sneakily the best trade that's been made.
I'm not missing. I said just one more thing we got to talk about for Sixers. The Kings Pacers trade with Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis, and Halliburton and Buddy Hield for Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday. Like we can get into the whole trade, but the crux of the trade is Halliburton and Hield for Sabonis. What are your thoughts on that trade?
I think Sacramento, Halliburton part of it surprises me, but at the end of the day, I think they wanted to get somebody else they could build around with Fox. More of a big guy, more of a distributor, kind of like a Jokic type player. A bigger guy they can run their offense through a little bit easier, along with Fox. I think it's one of those weird trades for Sacramento. I mean, I would say that I think he's the best player in the trade.
Who?
Sabonis. I just don't know what.
Not the most valuable. He's best player right now. Not the most valuable.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
Halliburton is the most valuable player in that trade.
Potentially, you have Fox for 3 more years. I think. I mean, I think they got it. They've obviously seen what he is and what they think he can be. They're going to try to rebuild with them again.
Indiana
and give them a
would
shot.
have offered the same trade, Fox and Hield for Sabonis. Indiana said no. I think that Halliburton was the piece that they needed to get rid of Sabonis. I really think that they weren't trying to get rid of Halliburton. I think Indiana's like, yeah, you're not getting it without Halliburton. And I think that's the biggest piece in the deal, and I think that's the piece that Indiana's going to build around. I actually think that Sacramento got fleeced in that trade.
Well, it makes sense for Indiana because they're gonna have Halliburton now. They still have Turner. I mean, that was the big debate if they were going to trade both of them, just one of them. So they decided to go younger. Halliburton, Miles Turner.
Control. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Does that signify to you that they really wanted to get Davion Mitchell a lot more starting minutes with De'Aaron Fox and then get a big to run their offense through with Sabonis? Like, is that like a Davion Mitchell type, like let him play more type trade?
I mean, that's like the obvious thing there was that he would get more minutes just because they were crowded at guard on that team. But for me, I think the big piece of it is that once again, they were so crowded at guard. They don't really have anyone in that front court. You have Marvin Bagley who rides the bench, but you bring in a guy like Sabonis, that bigger forward that can get you 20 points a game. It can go out there and get you, 10, 12, 14 rebounds. Like, that's a team that you can kind of try and win with. At the end of the game, the best players on the Kings were Fox, Hield, Halliburton, Mitchell. You can't have all four of those guys on the court at the same time. So I think that was a big part of why they wanted to go with a big. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it with Ben Simmons, but I mean, that was a fit that we thought would be perfect for the Kings. But they went with Sabonis, and they cleared out that backcourt. And I think the Kings are going to be able to compete a little bit at the bottom of that Western Conference. They're going to be one of the teams at the end of the season fighting for a spot in the play-in.
I think it's a bad trade. I really do. I think that Indiana won that trade clearly.
Agreed.
I will, however, reluctantly, since we're talking about the Pacers, give you 45 seconds to talk about Karis LeVert going to some cheesy-ass team in Ohio.
I think it's
that was another fleece.
Yeah, I agree. With his young and the scores.
I didn't ask you, Bill. I want to control 45 seconds.
Well, he can have 45 seconds after my 30 seconds.
I'm kidding.
Listen, I think I'll go on record right now. I think Cleveland beats somebody in the playoffs they're not supposed to beat. I think LeVert gives them another scoring punch. Garland's going to be back. I don't know, he might be back already. That team's going to score. They're young. They're athletic. They can play defense. Mobley's been amazing.
Yeah, I was wrong about him.
I agree. I'll raise my hand. I was wrong. I'm telling you, nobody will want to play that team come the playoffs. They will absolutely 100% upset somebody in the first round that they're not supposed to.
I've been wrong. Now it's 3 strikes. I'm out. 3 times on players in the last 10 years in the draft, and he's one of them. I'm not wrong much when it comes to NBA prospects and drafts, but I was wrong about him. I hate sitting here and saying that, but I was.
I didn't think he was going to be what he is.
No, not at all. Go ahead, Control. 45 seconds starting now.
I think a big part of what Evan Mobley is, why he's been successful, is just because of the situation that he's in. Playing alongside Jared Allen makes it a hell of a lot easier for him, and he gets to play, kind of that natural 4 position for him. He can play center, but I think he's a good fit with the Cavs at the 4. But as far as Karis LeVert goes, I think this was the perfect trade for him. We've seen the Cavs really had the worst luck with injuries this season, losing Sexton early on. Then you get the emergence of Rubio kind of out of nowhere, and then you lose him for the rest of the year. And now you go out and get Karis LeVert to be in the backcourt with Darius Garland, who's just got named as a all-star reserve. So I think this Cavs team is definitely going in the right direction. I think the funniest part about this trade with the Pacers is that they sent back Ricky Rubio and a first, which is basically really the only thing that they're losing. But Rubio's hurt for the rest of the year, and he has an expiring contract. And so at the end of the year, he's going to be a free agent. And it's already been reported that his preferred destination in free agency is Cleveland. So you get Rubio back next year. I mean, you really gave up nothing to get a big time scorer. Karis LeVert's a guy who just put up 43 points the other night. So I think it's a great move for the Cavs, and I 100% agree with you, Bill.
Wasn't Karis LeVert supposed to be the replacement for Victor Oladipo? Wasn't that the reason they got him there to begin with?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I also think that team just didn't. I think they thought they had a way better team on paper this year than they actually did.
Right now, Cleveland's sitting around the 4 seed, and they'll be playing Philadelphia in the first round. And if Philadelphia doesn't make a trade, I don't know. That might not be a matchup we want. Telling the truth.
JoJo will do JoJo's thing.
Yeah, but that team's tall. There's a lot of people on that team.
I was going to say they make it harder for him.
They do.
They'll make it harder for him. I don't think Mobley or Allen can handle him, but
Allen does a good job with him, actually.
They're better pretty much everywhere else across the board.
I don't. So who's arguing that?
Not me.
All right, so let's get into it. Ben Simmons is still a 76er. I have 2 gentlemen here that are going to tell me that he will be a 76er by 3:01 tomorrow. I am going to stand on my fucking ledge and do everything I can to to say that Ben will be traded by tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Have fun on the way down, buddy.
Give us an ad here. Give us your pitch on why Ben should be out of here.
I think
I'm sure all 29 other teams are listening.
Yeah, like for the record, I want him traded. I just hate to say, like, I've had a feel for this from the get-go, and I don't think he's going anywhere. I think there was deals to be made. I think Maury asked for too much, overplayed his hand big time. Everybody we just mentioned was rumored to be available for a trade with Ben Simmons. And we asked for too much in return, and every single one of those players ended up getting traded. That would be Halliburton, Levert, all those guys. So those rumors, to me, then, were true. What he was asking for in return and in value is, I don't know. Like, we weren't in the room. I mean, I'm sure it'll come out eventually. I also am of the opinion, though, that you can't give them away. But I think there was deals to be made somewhere to make this team better. And I think they are in a very, very precarious position right now. I don't think he gets traded. I think you have a better chance of seeing him play for this team than you do of him getting traded tomorrow.
I hope that you're wrong, and Gatrell, I'll let you go next, and then I'll give my pitch.
So, I mean, I think Bill hit it right on the head. As much as I think Ben Simmons can go and help out other teams right now, and I'm sure there's teams that would love to have a guy like Ben Simmons, play style wise, not how he's been acting the past 6 months or so. But I feel like Daryl Morey and the company, they've definitely overplayed their hand. They went all in on pocket sixes, and Ben's just he's not budging. This is a guy, you tried to call his bluff, and he's like, no, there's no amount of money that's going to bring me back. I mean, we've seen that he's already lost $19 million in fines so far this season. So a guy who just refuses to play basketball and is not coming back no matter what, you got to find a way to get him out of there. And I said this to you guys earlier. This is a year, if you don't make a move here, this is a year wasted of Joel Embiid's prime. You have a team that's close to being championship caliber, and you just need to move Ben Simmons and get back certain pieces. If the Kings had conversations with the Sixers about Halliburton and Hield, that should have been a done deal right there. Don't ask for too much. I understand not moving them for too little, though. If the offers you got were horrible, you can't move them. But if a team's offering to give you back 2 young guys or 1 star and a first round pick, something of that nature, you got to move them just for the sake of competing this year and trying to win a championship.
I will be completely wrong next week after I'm saying what I'm about to say. But I'm going to do it. I have full confidence and faith in Daryl Morey tomorrow that he is going to get a deal done that is going to move not only Ben Simmons, but Tobias Harris out of Philadelphia. I think the Philadelphia 76ers will be looked at as a championship contender after tomorrow when James Harden is a 76er. I think there'll be a 4-team trade that happens. I want to make that very clear. I think it'll be involving New Orleans and Oklahoma City, as well as the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets, whatever they are this week. Kidding. But I think that Ben Simmons is out of here, and I think that Daryl Morey knows how important it is not to waste a year of Joel Embiid's prime. I understand not want to give him away for no value, but I really, 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 truly believe that this team is begging for another point guard. They're going to make a deal. They have to have a ball handler. Has to happen. Maxi's now on the court. They really have no one to handle the ball. I think that you'll end up parting ways with Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and maybe Isaiah Joe. But I think you'll get back in return a couple really solid players, and one of them being James Harden. You might run into Patty Mills with the James Harden deal. You might run into Dort from Oklahoma City. But with that being said, I believe in Daryl. And I will faithfully believe and get up on my on my ledge, and when the branch breaks tomorrow at 3:01, I'll be crying. I'll be very upset. I don't even think the Super Bowl could even make me happy if Ben Simmons is still on this roster by tomorrow night.
I think there's two things that really have led me to believe that he's going to be here tomorrow. Number one, I from the get-go have been very clear with, I don't think Daryl Morey is the Messiah and the next coming of whatever you want to call him. I think he's been put in a tough spot with this whole thing. I will also say that I think he's partly at fault for overplaying as much as he has at this point. That being said, I also don't think he's dumb enough to give away the house just to get James Harden here on an expiring contract. Well, he can opt out. I think that's part of the hang up. I really do. If they are that close with Harden, it's been reported one way that they are. There's been a bunch of other big time guys that have come out and said there's no talks going on, that trade's not happening. Who the hell knows? You can't give him away for somebody who is publicly numerous times said he's testing free agency if he's not going to do a sign and trade. You can't give all that up to have James Harden for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. I think JoJo's comments after the game last night were also very telling. There's been reports that have come out that said Ben has been at all the practices. He's been in the meetings. He's taken notes. He hasn't been disruptive. He knows the sets. He knows the play calls. Last night was the first thing I would say very positive JoJo said about that situation in a long time, about if Ben comes back, we'll welcome him as long as he plays hard and he's here guaranteed to win.
I read that completely differently than you did.
I mean,
I read that as him calling him a baby. I don't have to wipe Tyrese Maxey's ass. I don't have to wipe Tobias Harris's ass. I'm not here to babysit Ben Simmons. That's how I read that.
If you take the whole quote, not the first two sentences of it, and where he specifically says, I would welcome anybody back as long as they're committed and ready to play.
I'd welcome anybody here as long as they're committed.
And he's been there. That's my point.
Well, the reason I say here is I think that he's alluding to James Harden, not Ben Simmons.
I don't. I think that is specifically talking about Ben without saying Ben's name. Okay. And like I said, with the other reports of him being at the complex, watching all the video with the team, even they interviewed Toby and other people, like he's been there so often and stayed out of the way. It's normal, like he's here. He's like, we just don't see him on game days.
The one thing that I'm kind of curious.
I think that conversation's happened. I think he's going to be here.
I'm curious to see if it comes out who Doc was talking about when he says we need a guard. I wonder if that was alluding to Ben Simmons. Like, hey, like we need a guard. We need you to come back and be our point guard. Or was he just saying, Daryl Morey, please go give us a guard to come here so that we could play basketball at a higher level?
That's what I think, and Bill thinks the opposite, which is fair. I guess we'll find out, and time will tell. But I'm on the wave of thinking he's telling Daryl Morey, go out and get me a guard. And I think that Bill thinks that he's talking about Ben Simmons.
I think it's Ben simply for the reason, like, I don't think Doc needs to send messages through the media to Daryl Morey. Like, that's just silly to me. I think that is aimed, again, I think you now have your coach and JoJo both saying subliminally, you want to come play, and you want to be who you say you are, and show up, dress, and start playing. I mean, I don't think the Doc Rivers needs to send shots through the media about Daryl Morey about getting a guard. I think, the situation is what it is.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be interesting. I mean, again, I don't know. I think he's gonna be here.
We got Super Bowl talk to get into.
It's time.
Before that, though, we have to talk about our sponsor, our awesome sponsor. The Super Bowl segment. The Super segment is brought to you by Old North Contracting, where they specialize in all home improvement needs, from roofing and siding to interior remodels and additions. They're a local, veteran, family-owned and operated company serving the tri-state area. I need you to. Is there a second one I sent you with the full? Okay, let me. I'm gonna send you a second one because there's a different picture. That's third person on there. But the contact info is Ryan Goodman, 215-756-7456. Also, project manager Chris Hackney, friend of the show, 267-535-9957. And also, there's a second project manager that's on the last card, which I'll get for next week. It's Cody Runner. Phone number is 267-469-1791. These guys do great work, commercial and residential. So with that being said, give them a call if you need any work done in your house, any situations, anything that you need done, give them a call. I'm going to be calling them about some flooring soon. Get some laminate flooring done at my new place. But let's move on to the Super Bowl. Can't wait to get into this. I got a lot to get into Super Bowl week. I have a strong pick on the game. I have 3, I love these, there's a million props. The Super Bowl, if you really zero in on the props that you really like, these could be props that you could hammer. I have 3 props that I'm hammering. I'm not going to go nuts this year and have 65 props. I have 3 that I'm going to hammer. And I got some 3 fun ones for you guys, too. But we got
Gatorade color?
I got the Gatorade color.
Okay.
I got a value pick on the Gatorade color. So what I'll get into it. I'll break it down when I get there. Before we get into props, let's break down the game. Let's talk about the football game. Let's talk about why we're here. First, Warren, do you have the "You Gotta Be Kidding Me" lined up right now? Can you just pull it up for me for 10 seconds? Or you can just give me a quick "You Gotta Be Kidding Me." You got that ready for me? Give me a thumbs up.
Can't hear you.
You hear me? Come on, you got to be kidding me at the end of the show. Okay. All right. So my bad. Jamie, can you get that lined up for me for 1 second? You got it ready? All right. Perfect. I got to throw one at Bill and Cottrell for last week. We're talking about the Rams being in the Super Bowl, right? I listened to that show while I was in the Bahamas. And I heard them trash Kyle Shanahan, and he deserved to be trashed. But not one time during that segment did they bring up Jaquiski Tartt's dropped interception that would have won the game for San Francisco. I'm hearing Matt Stafford's clutch and Kyle Shanahan stinks and all this jazz. But if he catches the goddamn interception that was thrown right to the middle of his chest, the 49ers are playing this week. So for that, Bill and Cottrell.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Had to throw that one out there first. We had to start. Love you guys, but that one you missed. Okay, so into this game. Rams beat the 49ers very luckily, in my opinion. Bengals showed their grit, showed their balls, came back from 21-3 to beat the juggernaut of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like your football brain tells you one thing, but your heart tells you another. I think everybody at home will be rooting for, outside the Los Angeles faithful, we're rooting for Shiesty Joe Cool, Joe Burrow to win this Super Bowl. I really, truly believe in my football knowledge and my football brain that defensive line for the Los Angeles Rams are just too much for the Cincinnati Bengals front. The offensive line cannot control Aaron Donald and Von Miller and the havoc that they will wreak in that backfield. I'm going with the Rams. I think the Rams win the Super Bowl, and we'll break it down matchup by matchup. But I like the Rams, and I like the Rams to cover. 80% of Super Bowls, the winning team has covered. That's a little bit slighted stat, but the winning team is covered 80% of the time. So I think the Rams will win and cover. Scholastic Shalley, what are your thoughts on the game before we get position by position and break down the trenches?
No, I mean, I kind of look at it the same way you do. I mean, does Matt Stafford win his first Super Bowl? Pretty much rubber stamp his application to Canton, Ohio at that point. Makes him a shoo-in. Or like you said, does Joey B in this group of guys, that are playing loose with confidence, that have embraced the underdog role, very much like the 2018 Eagles. Did they get it done? And does Joe Burrow then, does he really at that point announce that, I'm just as good as Mahomes? I have one now. Josh Allen doesn't. Justin Herbert doesn't. It's he puts himself in the stratosphere if he wins. I think it's gonna be a very good football game. I'm leaning one way, just like you are. One of the keys that I have written down, I think that defensive line versus the Bengals offensive line is a huge factor in this game. When your offensive line doesn't block, you see very quickly how mortal these quarterbacks can look. I mean, look no further last year than Tampa Bay and Kansas City, and as bad as Patrick Mahomes look. That is a big factor in this football game. A huge factor. It might be number one.
It's funny. If you look at the 3 games that the Bengals played in the playoffs, they played the Raiders, they played the Titans, and they played the Chiefs. The Raiders were the only team that had a top 10 pass rush, and the Titans sacked them 9 times. The best pass rush they're going to face is by far this Rams team.
Mm-hmm.
Try your thoughts.
I mean, when you put it that way, it seems like everything is going in the Rams' favor. They have Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham, and the Bengals have a tough time covering. Granted, they looked fine in the second half against that Chiefs team, but for that first half, all the receivers there were giving them the blues. And then you look at it where the Rams have this great defensive line and the Bengals have this horrible offensive line. And, you would think that they would just pin their ears back and get after Joe Burrow. But, I mean, Joe Burrow has just shown time and time again just how poised he is under pressure. I actually like the Bengals matchup receiver-wise going up against the Rams DBs. Of course, Jalen Ramsey is going to be locked down, whether he's just shadowing Jamar Chase all game or he just shuts down one side of the field. I think, Jalen's going to get his. Jalen's going to be successful in pass coverage. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, on the other hand, I think are going to be big parts of this game. And I think they're going to have a big chance to, break off certain chunk plays if Joe Burrow's protection can hold up and he can get those guys the ball. The Rams are very hurt in that secondary. We saw they just got Eric Weddle back a few weeks ago out of retirement. So I think this is going to be a great Super Bowl matchup. With all that said, though, I'm going with the Rams, and I do think they cover. I think Matt Stafford gets that Super Bowl win. Like Bill said, I think this is going to be the last check in the box for him to go to Canton. And I think this Rams team just gets it done. I mean, they have too many stars on that team, and they have guys who've been in this moment before. That Bengals team is young, and they haven't been afraid of the moment yet. But this game's in LA, where all the lights are already bright, and it's a home game for the Rams. So I got the Rams winning this one, and I do think they cover.
All right, so I just want to touch on a couple things that you said. So I'm going to go matchup by matchup for a little bit, like your favorite matchup in the game, what you think is the keys to victory, and things of that nature. I think where Cincinnati is strong, and I've seen Bill on the wire line saying Cincinnati won the 14 plus 235, lock it in. He's been pretty good this year. So I think the one thing that, and I'll get into where the advantage goes to the Bengals to me. But I think the things that the Bengals do well are the strength of what the Rams do well. Let me explain. The Bengals play a shell zone defense. The Rams do a great job of throwing the ball over the middle of the field with the best slot receiver in football, Cooper Kupp. Best possession receiver in football. And, I mean, you could argue one of the best receivers in football. He's not Devontae Adams. He's not Jay Jettas, but he's probably 3 right now. With that being said, their number 1 wide receiver, their all-world wide receiver. Well, the Rams have an all-world cornerback that likes to man that guy up. Now, Raheem Morris's defense only plays about 55 to 60% man. He likes to play a different style zone defense. So I don't think Jalen Ramsey will be lining up with Jamar Chase 100% of snaps, 90% of snaps. But 60% of snaps and on big third downs, I think Jalen Ramsey will be lined up against Jamar Chase, and I think Jamar Chase will have a pedestrian game. Not a terrible game, not a great game, but just pedestrian. 6 catches, 72 yards. That's what I see. Here's what I see on the Bengals side, where I think the Bengals have a chance, or where the edge lies to the Bengals. If I have to trust one quarterback in that game to make a throw, to make a drive, to do something special, to not turn the ball over, it would be Joe Burrow. Matt Stafford, I feel like, gets the shakes late in the game. Little palms are sweaty. His knees are weak. His arms are heavy.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah, like I feel that. So I think that for the Bengals, you have to do yourself a favor and try to stay in this game and take your shots in the fourth quarter.
I mean, I agree with some of that. I mean, a lot of it actually. The Chase thing, I 100% agree with. It's one of the keys to the game for me. And they get Chase the ball in space, especially when Ramsey isn't on them. I think that's a huge part in the game. I think, can they call plays? If Ramsey's on the opposite side of the field, can they get the ball in Chase's hands where he can get open, he can run? I think that's a big part of the game. Can Burrow stay patient, take what LA gives them? To your point, they play zone almost 50% of the time. When they blitz, they're almost always in zone behind it. He is leading out of all the playoff quarterbacks. He has the highest completion percentage under pressure in the playoffs. If he can stay patient, the Rams linebackers are awful in coverage. Can he get Higgins? Can he get Boyd over the middle?
The Boyd's the key. They're using Boyd as like a shell tight end.
That's exactly what they're going to do, especially after what's-his-face got hurt in the championship game.
Uzama.
That was the big adjustment they made in the second half. They started pretty much lining Boyd up as like a Darren Waller type almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he started just wreaking havoc over the middle.
Excellent point.
That is a big part of the game for them moving the ball. Mixon, they have to at least try to run the ball with Mixon. I don't know if they're going to be successful. I think that's also a big part of the key of the game for the Rams. If they can get their pass rush home and stop the run, I think it's a very long day for Cincinnati. I think it's an uphill battle at that point. I don't think Mixon's going to run for 100 yards or anything like that. I think if he gets into the 50 to 60 range, I think they have a shot. I think they're running the ball at least effective enough then to keep them honest on play action.
You know what his over-under is?
It's like 66 or something, 64 or something. 62.
I like the under, by the way. That's not my full pick, but if I had I lean the under there.
I think the magic number for him is 75. I think if they can get to 75, then, again, I think they're in the ball game. The Rams have to respect it enough, at least at that point. For the Rams, again, we already talked about it. Is that pass rush going to show up and actually cause havoc like we think they're going to? We saw last year when they do. Again, I don't care if it's Joe Burrow back there, whoever. If you're running for your life every other play, it's bad news for that team.
Can I make a quick comment on that?
Go ahead.
The one constant, the one consistent, the one thing I'm 100% sure of is Aaron Donald will show up for that game. And you're saying, well, the Rams, you better triple team that dude. I think there's no doubt about it, Aaron Donald will have an impact on that game. I think he's like one of the nice sleeper bets for the MVP of the game. But, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to disagree with any of that. For the Rams, again, I just said the pass rush. Can Cooper Kupp continue to go on the tear that he's had? Can they get OBJ the ball down the field? Big chunk plays, explosive plays. They get stuff like that. I think they can make Cincinnati very uncomfortable. Like you said, they pretty much play a shell all the time. They're not going to do anything complicated. They are like the definition of a bend, don't break type defense. I think Stafford's got to have a good game. To your point, if I had to trust one of these two quarterbacks, I'm picking Burrow. And a lot of people think it's Stafford. I'll take Burrow all day. For some of the stuff I just mentioned, under pressure, he's just simply the better quarterback.
Well, it's funny. Matt Stafford's been in the league for how many years? 13?
Is it 13? Yeah, maybe.
He's been in the league for 13 years, and Joe Burrow's been in the league for 1. And Joe Burrow's played in bigger games in his career.
Mm-hmm. I think the big thing for me with the Rams is we've talked about it numerous times on the show throughout the year. Can they avoid the clunker? They have them. They have them where they come out. They don't look interested. I don't think that's going to be the case, obviously, with a Super Bowl. But that being said,
it was the case in the NFC Championship game.
You're not wrong. Can they avoid that game? Can Stafford avoid the 2-interception game or the 3-interception games where he's had 2 or 3 of them this year?
Stafford's all about quicksand, bro. Once he makes that first mistake,
yep.
it's quicksand.
Yep.
I think I heard it today, and I kind of agree with it completely. There's going to be a point in this game where there's going to be one bad turnover, and there's going to be one big play that's got to be made, and the team that probably is on the better end of both of those probably wins. That sounds cliche, but I think it fits this game perfectly.
I agree.
I think if Burrow doesn't turn the ball over, I think they have a shot to win the game. I'm not going to go into my pick because we're going to get there, but
that was so. If Burrow doesn't turn the ball over,
listen, no,
they have a chance.
I think they have to be clean. I think Stafford could throw an interception and the Rams still win the game. I don't think Cincinnati can turn the ball over. I don't think they can afford to give away a possession. I just don't.
They did at Kansas City.
Yeah, well,
turn the ball over, still won the game.
LA's defense is a lot better than Kansas City's.
Fair point.
And the home thing, I don't know how much that's going to matter.
Yeah, I agree.
They only had 35% of the fans in the NFC Championship game, for Christ's sake. It was all San Fran fans.
I'll tell you where it does matter. The pricing of tickets.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be a smartass, but Cincinnati, Ohio.
All the celebrities are going to be there.
I agree, but they dropped $1,000 today. So it's
okay.
I'm just
saying. So they went from 15,000 to 14,000.
No, it's the average. The cheapest ticket right now went from 5 down to 4. So listen, I agree with you. I think all the Hollywood. I've said it all week. I think all the Hollywood people are going to show up and want their face on the sidelines and all that crap. They're not fans though. But I mean, they're just going to be there walking around with their sideline passes. I'm sure Will Ferrell will be there. He's going to be a Rams fan all of a sudden. It's stuff like that.
Can we call out over under 4.5 fake Rams fans that you see at the game on
give me the over. Give me the over.
About celebrities.
Over. Give me the over.
Over.
You might get that. I think pregame.
Yeah.
I think pregame you get 4.
So I guarantee it's gonna be part of the pregame show. They're like, oh, Jennifer Aniston's here, Mark Wahlberg's here.
Oh, they're from Boston, bro.
Yeah,
don't go.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg's
LeBron.
Super Bowl.
LeBron's here.
Yeah, here you go. If LeBron's in that game and he's not in a Bengals jersey, dude, don't come on this show next week because I'm gonna hammer your boy if he's out there in an LA freaking Rams jersey.
Oh, that's funny. Billy, LeBron is number 1. LeBandwagon.
He's right. He's 100% right.
Yeah, LeBron's going to be out there in his OBJ jersey. I can already see it now.
Oh God,
he's going to be rocking the 30.
Actually, I could see that. Him and Odell are friends.
I've never seen a great player make it so hard for people to like him. I really don't.
Facts.
The dude is so special on the court. Away from it, he makes it impossible for you to like him.
I can't agree with you more.
He needs his Tom Brady coming of age moment where he just goes somewhere and
what's he waiting for? He's like 38.
I don't know. His team's not good right now. This is the perfect time for it, but we're not getting it. So I don't know.
When's somebody just going to let him know that we're done with the hair charade too?
He's bald. Just shave it off.
Just cut your hair, bro. It's over. Nobody listens to techno.
Just kind of getting back on topic though with the game. So I think you guys hit it right on the head for me. Bill, I think you said it perfect. The Bengals play this bend but don't break defense, and I think for the Rams, that's kind of like the perfect storm for them. Bengals like to play this off coverage where their corners are sitting, 7-8 yards off of these receivers, and I think that's too much space for these Rams players to get into their routes. You got Cooper Kupp, obviously one of the best route runners in the league, one of the best receivers in the league, and 8 yards of space, that's too much for him to get. He can run a dig, he can run an out. You just don't know with guys, that shifty and that good with their route running where they get to disguise it, especially if you give them 8 yards of cushion. Odell's another one of them. He's really good with his route running. Say what you want to about where he is as like a superstar and things like that. One thing you can't take away from him is how well he runs his routes. And I think he's a good receiver when it comes to finding open space. And then you got Van Jefferson is another one. Nothing too special about him, but he's going to pick and choose his spots. He's very good at sitting in zones and just being in the open area. So I think that's a huge part of the game for me. And I'm wondering how much the Bengals switch that up on defense. And if I'm the Bengals on the other side, I probably wouldn't switch it up too much. While I do think that's going to be a strong suit for the Rams, this is what got you there. Obviously, Joe Burrow and that offense is what you lean on and what gets you to win these games. But I wouldn't switch it up for the biggest game of the year, although, that's something that the other team can take advantage of. I would trust what we got and trust that process there. But I think that's the biggest matchup for me. The other thing that I think is a huge matchup is obviously that Bengals offensive line versus that Rams defensive line. I think a big part of that, though, is going to be the Bengals just finding creative ways to get their players the ball quick. And whether that be screens or be jet sweeps or motions, things like that, I think it's gonna be a way to get the Rams more upfield. That way you can dump it off underneath and have your playmakers go out there and make plays in space. So those are my two biggest keys to the game in this one.
I like the Van Jefferson one, and I'll simply say this: Sean McVay loves him, and he calls plays specifically for him during the game to take shots with him. I think he's, a very live underdog to score anytime touchdown. You probably get really good odds with that. It's not one of my prop picks, but he's a name to watch. I think him, and to go back to an underdog maybe to win MVP, I think you have to look at Boyd. I think if the game goes the right way, he could be 10, 120 and a touchdown. If he puts up those type numbers, Joe Burrow, yeah. I mean, that's what scares me there. But again,
that's why I never like picking receivers to win MVP.
Because if they have huge games, that means the quarterback has huge games, and they always go for the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, speaking of that, let's get in some props.
Let's do it.
I got some props.
I got props.
So you want to do
I got props
ones first?
You got props?
Yeah, I got props.
Do you guys have how many serious ones do you guys have?
I have 3 serious ones.
I have 3 also.
I got 5.
Serious ones?
4.5. 4.5.
4.5?
I have 3 funny ones, fun ones.
I have 2 funny ones.
Okay, so I'll start with one I think I love. Odell Beckham Jr. is over-under in yards is 60.5. I think he'll clear the over. He's done that his last 4 games. It's obvious that Matt Stafford, if I'm the Bengals and I have a game plan in this game, it's to slow down Cooper Kupp. And if they slow down Cooper Kupp, you're going to throw the ball to Odell Beckham a ton. Odell Beckham Jr.'s went over in his yardage his last 5 games. I don't know how he wouldn't go over 60.5. This is his first time playing in this big of a game. And Matt Stafford is really finding him and finding connections with him. He's also not the receiver that's getting primary coverage. It's like the first time in his career where he's been in a situation where he's not the primary covered receiver. So the over 60.5 for Odell Beckham Jr. is all but a lock.
I'm gonna just jump right in just because that's one of mine too. I 100% agree with everything you said. So I'm also on the over for Odell.
A lot of OBJ love for somebody who hates him. I'm not going to mention it.
Listen, I could be wrong. He's went there and he's done a great job.
I don't have OBJ in my props.
It's fair. Give me your first prop.
My first one, it's not even funny. I mean, I think it's a serious and I think it's a lock. I'll give you 2 things that win you Super Bowls: good quarterback play and good kickers. My first lock: Evan Money McPherson
over 1.5.
Over 1.5 field goals. Book it.
I love that one. It was almost one of mine.
Baby Tuck. I will tell you this: if you're a Rams fan and the Bengals have the ball last and they get over midfield, you're going to lose the Super Bowl because they're going to trot him out there and he's going to kick something and he's going to make it. So if you're a Rams fan, you better hope you're up by more than 3 points when the Bengals get the ball. Because if not, you're probably going to lose the game. So that's my first one. Over 1.5 field goals. I think it's a lock.
I love it. I almost picked that as one of mine. Give me another one.
My second one, I think this one is also a lock. Matt Stafford over 1.5 touchdown passes. I don't know if he gets to 3. I definitely think he gets to 2. I don't. I could see the Rams scoring on a rush, but they like to throw the ball a lot. I think he gets to 2. I think that's a lock.
Okay. Control.
My next one would be Joe Mixon over 24.5 receiving yards. I think they're gonna try and go with screenplays and get those Rams players upfield. They're gonna dump the ball off to Joe, and he's gonna be making plays out the backfield. And just as a easy dump off for Joe.
Their 2 biggest plays last week, or 2 weeks ago, versus the Kansas City Chiefs were both off of screens. Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. That's absolutely. I love that pick. I'm all over it. I'll give you one that's really close. I'll go with Cam Akers over 14.5 receiving yards. He can get that on one play.
He can. I think that's.
And I think the way that the Bengals play shell coverage defense, you're going to have to at least 1 or 2 dump offs to Cam Akers. And I think that 2 catches for 21 yards is very feasible for Cam Akers. And I think that he'll go over 14.5.
The only thing that even worries me about that is Robinson's going to play. So, I think you're going to have some type of 3-headed monster back there. I think Akers' snap count's going to go down a little bit. I don't disagree with you because if like you said, he gets 1.
Robinson.
Dow Robinson.
Henderson,
sorry.
I didn't know Rob. Is James Robinson down there? I don't know.
Under the radar trade. Listen, that's the only thing that worries me. You don't ever know game flow wise, where he's going to be for passing downs. I agree with you. With 14.5, is that what it is? It's such a low number. Like you said, 1 good screen pass or 1 check down, he makes a guy miss. He probably gets it in 1 play. So it's probably safe. That's the only thing. I was looking at that earlier as well. It's such a low number he is their starter. So
this is one that is hit in the last 6 playoff games.
I already know what you're doing.
The game will be tied after 0-0.
Oh, that wasn't what I was.
The game will be tied after 0-0. It's minus 130. I love this. You could hit this in the first quarter. Field goal. Game's tied. You hit it. Touchdown. Game's tied. You hit it. I love this bet. Hammer it. It's hit the last 6 games in the NFC, the playoffs. Hammer it.
My next one, I just looked it up to double check because I had a different number. Mixon's rushing yards right now are 64.5 officially. It's probably going to move because people are going to bet it. I love the under. I do love Cottrell's for the same reason. I think Gene likes Akers. I would take over on the receiving yards because I think they're going to try to throw screen passes, little dump downs to slow down that pass rush. Rushing yards, strictly rushing yards, I don't think he gets this. I already said earlier, I think the magic number is 75. I don't think he gets to that. I don't think he gets to 64.5 either. I love the under for that.
I'm here for it. Give me one, Cottrell.
I got a Bengals Russian prop for you too. I like Jamar Chase over 3.5 rushing yards. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball, and I think they're going to give him handoff just because you're going to have Jalen Ramsey covering them for a large majority of the game. I think they're going to try and jet sweep him or just get him the ball in motions, whether it be him in the backfield or toss, things like that. I just think they're going to find creative ways to get him the football. So I like Jamar Chase over 3.5 rushing yards.
You mean our serious one? We're both out of serious.
I'm out of serious.
This is my last super serious one. It's just so money. You can't ignore it. Cooper Kupp, anytime touchdown, minus 165. Lock it in now. Cooper Kupp is going to score in the Super Bowl. It's just bound to happen.
I don't disagree.
I can't argue with that.
No.
All right, so how many fun ones you got? I got 3.
I have 2. And now the 2, one of them's kind of fun. One of them's.
I have 3 fun ones.
My other one's.
I have nothing super fun.
Okay, so
except,
let me go.
Except Gatorade color.
All right, we'll get the Gatorade
I'll let
colors.
You go ahead.
We'll all do Gatorade colors at the end.
Gotcha.
All right, so my first one is the national anthem.
It's just Gene's lock of the day.
I researched this. The person singing the national anthem is Mickey Guyton. Mickey Guyton also sang at the White House and sang the national anthem. She sang it in 88 seconds. The over-under is 99 seconds. She has a nickname for singing the national anthem, and it's Quickie Nikki. The over-under this year is lower than it's ever been. for the national anthem. It's hit like 10 out of 12 last year. 10 out of the last 12 Super Bowls, the over is hit. And I'm telling you, book the under. Quickie Nicky gets it done in under 99 seconds. I'm sure Nikki Guyton's family would not like the fact that I'm calling her Quickie Nicky. But that is a nickname they've given her.
It's not as bad as if you were a guy and that was your nickname. But
Jesus Christ.
I digress. I just like making Warren shake his head in the booth. It's my favorite thing in the world. I actually just added a third one because I looked it up. I do not think this is what will be called at the coin toss. I'm going to go out on a limb and say heads is what it actually lands on, though. So I'll go heads minus 110. Everybody knows it's going to be freaking tails. That's what they're going to call.
Do not. It's minus 104 at any reputable sports book. They've lowered it this year because of the heads and tails. Minus 104 or minus 103. Don't pay minus 110 juice.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet it.
And I'm going tails.
The heads guy.
Last year
tails never fails, baby.
Until it lands on heads, so you don't get the football.
All right, give me your second one.
The second one,
fun one.
It's not so much like fun. I mean, it's a combo one. I have, to piggyback on Cottrell's, I have Cooper Kupp to score and the Rams to win at plus 130. I probably should have put that in a lock because, I mean, if you think the Rams are going to win, I mean, you're stupid not to pick it because I think Cooper Kupp scoring is a lock. That's not my most fun one, though. I'm saving that for last.
So here's a fun one.
If you steal, I swear to God, I feel like one of you guys have it. I should have just used it.
No. Bitcoin.
What?
Will go up during the Super Bowl. So Bitcoin.
Who's betting on that?
It's there. It's there. So the time the kickoff starts to the time the end of the game, the price of Bitcoin will be higher or lower, over, under. It's at minus 130 for for Bitcoin. Every Super Bowl in the last 3 years since Bitcoin's been out, Bitcoin has went up during the Super Bowl. This year, being in LA, they are promoting Coinbase. They are promoting Crypto.com.
So I know they already did a Crypto. Tom Brady said they have a Crypto.com.
And I love the over on Bitcoin.
I'll go for conspiracy theory and say it goes down.
Well, the whole theory, right? You buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah.
So all the smart people will be selling during the Super Bowl. All the dumbos like me will be buying.
I think I'm with you though, Gene. Another thing, just even about that, I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. gets his contract in Bitcoin, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who know that. So if the Rams win, they're gonna just buy Bitcoin stock.
You would hope so.
I'm with you on the over.
He's taking a freaking beating on that. So
yeah,
he got a lot better. It went up like $15,000.
It did, but it's nowhere near it was when he signed the damn thing.
Oh, he's not too far away now.
I mean, he's not hurt for money. Don't get me wrong, but
all right, I got one more fun one. It's the Gatorade. That's it. That's all I got left.
Are you doing it for both teams?
No.
Oh,
I'm picking one Gatorade because my reasoning is what it is.
Okay. I didn't pick Gatorade this year. I think orange.
I got a Gatorade.
If the Bengals win, I think orange is a lock.
Orange is plus 300.
I think it's a lock.
One of the favorites.
Yeah, I think it's a lock.
Blue is the favorite at plus 200.
Really?
Yeah. Orange and blue are the favorite. Or orange is 300, blue is 200 on my book.
Okay, I was gonna say OddsShark had it a little different before, but that's fine.
Going off FanDuel, bro.
Gotcha.
What's your prediction? I have a nuts one.
I'm going
just like last year, and I hit it.
I'm going purple. I think
you're
they're
going 1100.
I'm going purple, baby.
Glacier Freeze.
Going off the beaten path.
Yep.
Fierce grape.
Purple.
Best flavors ever.
Facts.
Everybody knows that, man. I think that's what the players want. So purple Gatorade is going to be there on the sidelines. They're going to be just.
Imagine if you had like connections to like find out like what most of the guys on the team drink.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But see the problem.
It's insider trading, but it's fine.
Here's the thing, though, Bill. You would want to bet against the one most people drink because they're going to have them all out there.
They have like 9 of them though. It's not like they're gonna run out. They'll be like, "Oh, we can't dump the orange one because we drink that shit."
All right, so Bill, any more fun ones?
This is my most fun. The first TD score under jersey number 23.5.
I like that.
So that gives you
Odell.
Gives you both quarterbacks. It gives you Odell,
Jamar
Cup,
Chase.
Chase,
Van,
and there was
T,
one more.
right? No, T's 85. Never mind.
You don't have T, Boyd,
Cam Akers.
Or Mixon.
Mixon. I think you get.
You think you get Akers? You get Akers at 23 and a half.
23.
He's 23.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I love the under there. I'm under 23 and a half for first touchdown score.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Any more for you, Cottrell?
I like the value wise. I love Cooper Kupp plus 550 for Super Bowl MVP. I think we got a good shot of Matt Stafford throwing a pick or two, so I could see him not winning MVP. And Cooper Kupp's just one of those guys who's just he rolls out of bed. He got 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, right there for him. So I think Cooper Kupp can have a big game, especially with the Bengals playing that off coverage. I think he could easily go 10 catches, 130 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns. And I could see him being Super Bowl MVP.
He's plus 550.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
What did you expect it to be at?
I didn't think it'd be that high. I thought it'd be like plus like 350 somewhere around.
No,
there.
you can't because the quarterbacks are gonna be really.
I get it, but the quarterback. I figured the quarterbacks would be the next two
like
favorites.
150.
Yeah, and then if after them, I think the only person you would possibly put in front of Kupp would be Chase.
I'll tell you right now, I've got value on 3 players, and I looked them up just to make sure I have the exact odds. So Aaron Donald's one of them. It's plus 1,500. I like Aaron Donald plus 50. It's 15-1 odds. The other one is
Von Miller repeat and go MVP again.
30 plus 3,900. Why not throw $10 on that?
Huge value.
And then
Travis is cornering the market on correct scores because they're all like plus 10,000. He's putting $1 on like 100 of them.
Oh, we didn't even give our scores on the game. We got it for the record.
We'll do that.
We don't.
And then the other one, I think that is just very great value. If the Bengals win the football game and Joe Mixon runs in a couple touchdowns, he's plus 4,000, bro.
Sheesh.
I just think you need crazy game flow for him to win.
I get it. It's just a lot.
Like you need to get the ball down to like the
you
one
couldn't
and
see,
score
you,
like
you
every
couldn't
time.
see them winning, like running the ball to stop the pass rush, and him having a really good game on the ground.
I mean, I've already picked the under.
All right, so my Gatorade, I'm gonna get into it real quick. I went with red. It's a plus 9. It's plus 950.
All right.
So I went with red for the simple reason that I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, and I think that Sean McVay is a dork, and I think that it'll match his red hair and it'll be a good picture. So I went with red.
Red ruins all the clothes though. It doesn't make a good picture.
So what?
All right, just telling you.
I went with red for red hair, Sean McVay.
And the Rams are in white.
Even better.
Well, he'll be in blue probably though.
Yeah, he's always in blue.
Yeah.
All right, so score predictions.
Go ahead, Trell.
I will take the Los Angeles Rams 27, the Cincinnati Bengals 17.
It's close.
He almost had my exact score.
I'm
like
going
almost my exact score.
I am going Rams as well. I'm going Rams 26, Cincinnati Bengals 20.
Oh, you guys are so close. I'm going Rams 27, Bengals 20. That's what I have. I have that. I've had that all week. I'm going to put like $5 on the exacto score, like the exactica. Let's get it. You got to be kidding me.
The fact that we're all that close scares me. It means the Bengals will win 33-10.
Well, the sharps are all over. Public's all over the Bengals.
Bet the Bengals. No, I'm
just saying. Public's on the Bengals.
Listen, the only thing I said is if you're a Rams fan, you're not up by more than 3, and Burrow has the ball with 2 minutes to go, you're probably going to lose the Super Bowl.
I think it would be more fun if your score's right, 26-20, and the Bengals are driving down to try to win the game.
I don't want that for Joey B, though.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if they won the game 20. I don't care that much who wins.
He's young. He can come back. He could bounce back from
the only thing that I would
6-point Super
like
Bowl
is,
loss.
The only thing I would like is if I was right. But other than that, I don't care who wins the game.
Dude, he just goes into he becomes like, if they win, he becomes like one of the faces of the NFL.
Overnight. Yeah. All right, so let's get in. You got to be kidding me. Cottrell, start us off.
All right, so mine this week is something that we touched on last week a lot. Mine is Hugh Jackson and his misinterpretation of his time in Cleveland. So those of you who don't know, obviously you have everything that came out with Brian Flores and his lawsuit. After it became public about Flores' lawsuit, Hugh Jackson decided to chime in and say, oh, well, my time in Cleveland was very similar. And that made a lot of people believe that he was getting paid to lose football games or being offered to get paid to lose football games. And, while Hugh Jackson was in Cleveland, over his first 2 years, he was 1-31. And then the year after we drafted Baker, he went 2-5 and then got fired. And for the people who don't know, Hugh Jackson was very against playing Baker Mayfield. He was very against playing Nick Chubb. And so when the news first broke, I kind of thought it was somewhat believable just because Hugh Jackson was just that guy who was always, well, just go back at the tape, see what happened in the game and you'll see why we lost the game. But for him to just sit up and go on all these shows and have all these interviews and just saying that he wasn't put in a position to be successful, it's just crazy to me. Because while I do agree, you weren't put in the best situation, but it's a rebuild. You knew that you were part of a rebuild. They drafted you guys. You got Baker, you got Chubb, you had Denzel Ward, and you weren't winning with those guys. Jimmy Haslam had the funniest quote, I think, of the week. He said, Hugh Jackson was our coach. This is a guy who doesn't really want to take responsibility for anything. When he was our coach, we were 2-5-1. As soon as we got rid of him, we went 5-3 the rest of the season. So Hugh Jackson is just a guy who just doesn't want to take accountability for his time in Cleveland. And he's got people running with the wrong story. So for that, Hugh Jackson.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I want to make a quick 30-second comment on that because I wasn't here last week to be able to talk about this a little bit more. I think it's reprehensible that someone would lie about a situation like that because of how serious of the situation that they're going through. Anything you do like that, it really kind of puts you in a anything that they can use to pick apart your case.
It's just so,
it hurts.
It's so detrimental to the genuine cause and
a genuine cause is accurate, and it's a very accurate.
Oh, agreed.
It's absolutely ludicrous that there's 2 black NFL head coaches. Sorry,
2.5.
I'm not doing that. The mixed Miami, the guy looks like his Starbucks barista. I'm good.
That's okay. That's incredibly ignorant, but that's fine.
You're up.
How do you get to decide what the guy identifies as? So this week there was a lot of them. So me and Gene shared one, so I'm gonna let Gene do that because he's excited about it. I'm going to go with Mark Lai. Used to be on the Golf Channel, and I say used to because he just got fired the other day. He went on a Sirius XM golf podcast, and for no reason really at all, started trashing the WNBA. He was asked a question about how far the LPGA has come, and he made a comment about how back in the day he couldn't really stand to watch it, and it was boring, and how much better the golfers have gotten. Female golfers have gotten, and how much better the LPGA has done at marketing their stars and the big players in their game. And then he just went off in the middle of nowhere and made a comment, I'll watch the LPGA, pretty much paraphrasing, I'll watch the LPGA any day over the WNBA. If I was stuck in a house with that and I had to watch that, just find me a gun. It, of course, immediately drew the ire of a bunch of pundits and went viral very quickly. He was fired the next day. For all these guys that have been doing this for a long time, you need to catch up and realize where we're heading as a society. Like the whole women's sports thing as a punchline, it's just not going to be accepted anymore. There's been numerous guys over the last couple years, and Mark Lai had literally been with the Golf Channel since the beginning. He literally just threw away his career. You can make a point about sports while not demeaning or bashing the women's version of it. You guys weren't even talking about basketball, and you brought women's basketball into it for no reason and just totally demeaned everything all those ladies do. It was dumb. It was stupid. It cost you your career. So I hope you learned your lesson. So for me this week, it's Mark Lai.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay, so I have a pretty easy one, but I'm going to add on to it because I think it's 2 parts. Mine's Alvin Kamara for what he did right before the Pro Bowl. And I want to add on to it the fact that the NFL knew about it and still let him play in the Pro Bowl. That is absolutely atrocious. If you didn't hear, Alvin Kamara is arrested now for assault and battery. He bludgeoned someone. The pictures are online. You can Google it, the whole story. I'm not going to recap the whole story of him
They're not good.
And it's all on videotape. The video backs up 100% what they arrested him for. Alvin Kamara, you got to be smarter than that. You know, one of the biggest fears that the NFL had with a franchise in Las Vegas was this. And you just 1 year, one Pro Bowl game in a game that doesn't matter where everyone played half-assed, which, by the way, that could have been my you got to be kidding me, too. That Pro Bowl was a joke.
That was also on my list.
But the NFL, to know about this assault and, allow him, he was in jail. He was basically arrested. He was in police custody. And they, listen, you say what's going on and you can go out and play in the Pro Bowl still. And they let him out, police custody to play in the Pro Bowl, and they just let it happen. That's absurd.
Bad.
On every level. It's absurd that they allowed him to play in the Pro Bowl. It's absurd that you're Alvin Kamara and a professional athlete and you have to be fighting people regardless of the situation. Walk away. You make weight. You're Alvin Kamara. You're not this guy. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know the full details. But the video speaks volumes. So for that reason, the NFL and Alvin Kamara.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I'm glad you threw the NFL in there, because I'm going to go back to my statement that I opened the discussion about Brian Flores with last week. The NFL doesn't give a shit until they have to.
Agreed.
And it's they don't care about any
Well,
of this.
they said 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago when Brian Flores brought up the situation about it, they vehemently denied it and said they were bullshit claims.
Yep.
Now this week they're, oh shit, fuck. Yeah, we need to do a better job. They're meeting with the NAACP. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke. I agree with you 100%.
They care once it becomes a PR nightmare. Goodell came out today and said that the NFL's fallen short. Give me a break, bro. Like, listen, it's going to change one way or the other. I mean,
Well, I hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers hires Louis Riddick as their GM. I really do. He's interviewing for that job, and I think that would be great for them.
We should have hired him 2 years ago.
I agree with you. But that's our Super show, Super Bowl show 70. Had a great time with you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can download podcasts. We're there. Listen to us live on YouTube or Facebook each week, and give us a share, a like. Appreciate everybody, and thanks for stopping by.